Come with me to the Gospel of John, chapter number 6. Gospel of John, chapter number 6. I want to preach verses 1 through 13 today. I want to read verse number 5. John chapter 6, verse 1 through 13, the New American Standard Version. I want to read verse number 5. Therefore, Jesus, lifting up his eyes and seeing that a large crowd was coming to him, said to Philip, "Where are we to buy bread so that these may eat?" You may be seated. Therefore, Jesus, lifting up his eyes and seeing that a large crowd was coming to him, Jesus said to Philip, "Where are we to buy bread so that these may eat?" I want to talk a little while today. From the subject, the proactive Jesus. The proactive Jesus. It'll make sense when we get there. Let me start today by saying you really want to come to Bible study so that I can walk around in this a little better than I can this morning. The feeding of the 5,000 is the only miracle of Jesus recorded in all four Gospels. John includes it in his list of 7 sign miracles of Jesus. It is the supernatural activity of God that is a miracle. Designed to reveal who Jesus is, that is a sign. And to cause us to worship God in response, that is a wonder. This is a sign to us of who Jesus really is. Jesus is on the Gentile side of the Sea of Galilee, and a crowd of pilgrims numbering about 20,000 people have walked around the northern border, the northern bank rather, of the Sea of Galilee, and have hiked up into the hill country to find Jesus. And there, Jesus sees them coming, and he identifies an unspoken need. I want you to pay attention to what the text does not say. I want you to pay attention to what the text does not say. It is key to the entirety of the message that I will share with you this morning. The text never says that the crowd was hungry. Text never says that the crowd was hungry. But Jesus sees their unspoken need. And because Jesus can identify their unspoken need, Jesus moves to meet their unspoken need. I need to say to you this morning that sometimes you have something that you need that you cannot articulate. Anybody ever been there where you had a need where you couldn't really put it into words? You didn't know how to say what you really needed. It was a real need. It just escaped. How do I say what I really, and this text is tailored to teach a sermon. The sentence, you get this, you get everything I got for you today. That Jesus knows your unspoken need, and Jesus can meet your unspoken need. Say it one more time, Pastor. I said, Jesus knows what you can't say, Jesus already knows. But he doesn't just know what you need, he knows how to meet what you need, even when you can't say it. And I need you to develop another level of faith this morning. This is why I'm preaching this message. This is my objective. This is the faith development point of the message. I need you to come to a place of trusting God to the point that if you never get out on your knees to pray for it, you know God is still able. That there will be moments in your life where you'll set your heart to pray and you won't never get to our Father which art in heaven, and God just steps in and meets the need because he knows you. This is what he said in Matthew chapter number 6. He said, I already know that you need something to wear. I already know that you need something to eat. I already know that you need clothes to put on your back and a roof over your head. I already know. And because I already know, you don't have to worry about these things. Hallelujah. I'm trying to get somebody this morning to unload some of that anxiety off of your back, to take some of that stress off of you, to take some of that worry off of you, because even if you can't say it, Jesus still knows it. His foreknowledge is so vast, so great, that he knows what you need even when you can't say it. We're not used to having conversations around unspoken needs, but this text never says that they ever said, Jesus, we're hungry. It only says that Jesus saw them coming and he said, wait a minute, if they're coming, I gotta feed them. He says, if I see them coming and I got to do something for them because they're coming because they need to be healed. But after they get here, they're going to need something to eat because they have an unspoken need. Let me point out to you several ways that we see Jesus's proactivity. Again, y'all come to Bible study and we'll dig a little more in there because I got a whole piece I'm gonna just jump over because I don't want to get distracted. Number one, this is how we know Jesus is proactive, is because Jesus is aware of your unspoken need. And so the first thing the text shows us, beginning with the verse that we read, is Jesus's awareness of your unspoken need. The text, again, never explicitly says that the crowd is hungry, but Jesus knows the unspoken need. I'm gonna keep coming back to that because you got to keep that in mind. See, Jesus knows that the Sea of Galilee from coast to coast is 8 miles wide. From tip to toe, it is about 13 miles long. And they have walked from one side of the Sea of Galilee up around the north end of the sea to the east side where Jesus is. And now that we're on the east side, Jesus ain't on the shore. Jesus is in the hill country. So we got to hike up to where Jesus is. And when we get there, we have to factor in that Jesus' hike up, that their hike up into the hill country includes 90-degree weather. It includes 90-degree weather. So it don't take a rocket scientist to know that if you done walk 8 miles in 90-degree weather and you hiked up a mountain, you're going to be hungry. Why y'all looking at me like I ain't telling the truth? Because some unspoken needs are actually obvious if you stop to pay attention. Mhm. Sometimes your unspoken need is obvious if you just pay attention. Jesus is watching them walk around the north end of the sea, hike up the hill country to where he is, and don't nobody got to tell him that they need something because it's 90 degrees out here and they've been walking and hiking, that they're going to need something to eat. And if you tell the truth, you've been walking around the north end of the sea. It's called going to work every day. It's called raising your children. It's called trying to make that relationship work. It's called paying them bills. It's obvious. It's so obvious that we overlook it. But if we really just slowed down and paid attention, what you need is really something that you can see. Jesus knows that their unspoken need is obvious, but there's another thing here. Their unspoken need is overwhelming. I'm not talking about the crowd here now. I'm talking about the disciples. Jesus looks at the disciples, 20,000 people walking up on him, and says, where can we go buy something so they can eat? Jesus, you see all these people? You see all these people? This is 20,000 people. This is 5,000 men, and if every man has a wife, that's 10,000. If every man and wife has 2 children, that's 20,000 people walking up on us, Jesus, and you're asking, where can we go and buy enough food to feed 20,000 people? Philip has an answer. Philip has an answer. Philip says, Lord, if we had 200 denarii, it would not be enough to feed all these people. 200 denarii is a minimum wage for a day worker for a day. So that's about $58 per denarii. And you're going to times that times 200, that's 8 months. That's about $11,600. He says, Jesus, if we had $11,600, we still wouldn't have enough money to feed all these people. Let me bring you a little bit closer. If we're going to try to feed all these people, every person get $1.72. Every person sitting on the side of this mountain gets $1.70. What are we going to feed these people with $1.72? That's Philip. Andrew comes into the conversation. He says, Lord, there's a lad here. There's a lad here, and he has a poor man's lunch. Y'all come to Bible study so we can talk about it. He has a poor man's lunch. He has some flat cakes made with the cheapest grain we can get. Barley, and we've grounded the barley, and we've mixed it with water, and we baked it in the oven. There was no yeast in it, so it did not rise. It is a flat barley cake. Something like a flapjack or pancake. Barley cake. And then Jesus, he got 5 of those, and he got 2 fish, small fish. This is how they would do the fish. They dry the fish, then they pickle the fish and use the fish as relish on top of the food. It ain't even really a food item itself. It's a condiment that you put on top of the food item. So you're really saying, Jesus, the boy got 5 little flapjacks, and we're supposed to take this little pickled fish as a relish and spread it over the 5 pieces of bread, and he's only got 5 pieces of bread to eat from. And the text says, oh Lord, the text says that Jesus asked them this to test them. I gotta stop in a minute. Ask them this to test them. It's the word that says, I'm examining you to find out your true nature. What is Jesus trying to find out? Jesus is trying to find out if you'll be honest enough to say that what you have is not enough to meet your need. that we don't have enough to meet, and I need somebody to be honest this morning to say that you don't have the capacity to meet your unspoken need. We don't have enough. But here's the second thing that Jesus is trying to see. Jesus wants to know if you'll take the little bit you have and if you'll put it in Jesus's hands. See, that's why I've been challenging our church, and I'll challenge our church the whole second quarter to pay your tithes, because you may not have a whole lot. I just want to know if you'll take the little bit you got and give it to Jesus. I know it ain't a whole lot. I know you're trying to make ends meet. You got more month than you got money. But if you'll take that dime and give that dime to the Lord knows how to take them quarters and make them quarters stretch. We got 5 flapjacks. We got 5 barley flat cakes, and we got 2 pickled fish for relish. And I want to know if you'll take the little bit you have and give it to Jesus. You don't have to have a whole lot to give to Jesus. Just give him the little bit that you got. No. Which brings us to the second point. We see the awareness of Jesus. Let's see the actions of Jesus in the text. The proactive Jesus is active in meeting the needs, even when they're unspoken. His actions. Jesus is not overwhelmed by what overwhelms you. Say that again for the people on Facebook, because the people in the sanctuary don't want to sleep on me. I said, the things that overwhelm you does not overwhelm Jesus. I'm trying to tell you that even when it looks like things are beyond your control, Jesus is still in control of your situation. You may not be able to articulate what you need. You may not be able to articulate how you feel or what you're going through. But the reality is, even when it's out of your control, he's still in control. And the way he demonstrates in the text that he's still in control, he tells them, go and make them people sit down. Sit down somewhere. Jesus, you trying to get us to feed them. We don't have enough money to buy anything, and all we have is 5 flat cakes and 2 pickled fish for relish, and you want us to make them sit down? Yes. Because if they can sit down, it's a sign that they can trust me to do what needs to be done. I'm trying to get somebody in this room this morning to stop fighting and stop trying to make it work and stop spinning your wheels and sit down somewhere. I got to hurry up and finish, but I'm trying to tell you to sit down somewhere. Why do you need to sit down? Because your taking a seat is a sign that, Lord, I don't know what you're doing, but I trust you to do whatever it is. Because it don't look good. 5 barley flat cakes, and 2 pickled fish for relish, and you want us to sit down. All right, we're going to sit down. One text says that they sat down in groups of 50s and 100s. And Jesus takes the 5 barley flat cakes, and the Bible says that Jesus starts acting like a host. Come to Bible study and I'll tell you about it. He's acting like a host, and he doesn't bless it like the synoptic says in John. So the synoptic says he blessed it, but John says he gives thanks for it. Ooh, that's good news to me. He gives, wait. 5 barley flat cakes, the cheapest grain we can get. It ain't nothing but ground up barley and water. And Jesus says, thank you for it. It's a poor man's lunch. And Jesus is grateful for a little bit of nothing. I'm trying to find somebody to come on in this room with me. Because here's my next action step for you. Because you may not have a whole lot, but you need to learn how to tell God thank you for the little bit you do have. See, if you change how you see what you have, you'll understand and know that what you have is a gift from God. You may not have nothing but some ramen noodles in the cabinet, baby. Thank God for the noodles. If you put your little water and slap it with a little hot sauce, it'll fill you up if you need it. I'm telling you. You may not have a whole lot of money. You may not be able to put the $5, $10 in that gas tank, but you're going to get where you're going. And so I need to tell the Lord, thank you. It may not be the job that I really want, but thank you that I at least have a job. It ain't a whole lot. But Lord, I thank you. And Jesus starts thanking God for this small poor man's lunch. And Matthew, Mark, and Luke says that he hands it to the disciples and the disciples hands it to the people. But John says something different. John says that Jesus starts walking through the crowd and starts passing out bread himself. Because you need to know that your blessing doesn't come from a middleman. Your blessing comes directly from Jesus. And I need some people in this room, maybe in the virtual sanctuary, to help me. And I'm finna stop. But I need to find out if there's anybody that knows that the reason you're blessed on this first Sunday in April is because the Lord gave you what you have. The Lord took your poor man's lunch and he expanded it and extended it so that everybody in that crowd didn't just eat, but ate till they were full. God took that not enough that you had and made it just enough for you to get full, and then gave you more than enough, because he is so much God that you ain't got to depend on nobody else to bless you. He'll bless you himself. And notice, it didn't turn into wheat bread. I'll talk about it in Bible study. It didn't turn into no wheat bread. It wasn't honey wheat. It wasn't nature's own. It wasn't sunbeam. It was still ground up barley mixed with water. Because God knows how to take what you have if you give it to him and meet your need. Can I tell you, maybe you might want to give what you have to God. See, you've been trying to meet your need on your own, but you don't have the capacity to meet your need. So give what you have to God and let God give back to you what you gave to him, and he's able to stretch what you gave to him. All right. Here's the last thing. Jesus' awareness, Jesus' actions, Jesus' accounting. This is number 3, the accounting of Jesus. Jesus, the text never says they were hungry, but Jesus met their need anyway. Now, this last point has nothing to do with the crowd, has everything to do with the disciples. And y'all got to come to Bible study so y'all can learn some more about this. I can only do a drive by this. I got to run past it. But Jesus gives them enough to eat, to get full, and to have leftovers. Lord, I wish I had time to labor right there. I said, Jesus gives them enough to eat, to get full, and to have leftovers. They never said they were hungry. Lord, I wish I had time. They never said they were hungry, but Jesus gave them enough to eat, to get full, and to have leftovers. Now, what the text is going to show you, if you read it in context, is that the disciples have an unspoken need that they don't even know they have yet. They're getting ready to get into a boat on the Sea of Galilee, and they're getting ready to ride into a storm. The storm is going to get so bad to when they get about 4 miles into the Sea of Galilee, they're going to get stuck in the storm, and they'll be stuck in the storm all night long. But Jesus says to them before they go into the storm, get the baskets off the boat. These baskets hold up to 20 pounds in weight. And Jesus says, I want you to go through the crowd, and whatever is left over, I want you to pick it up and put it in a basket. See, Jewish custom said that if you had a piece of bread the size of an olive or larger, you couldn't leave it behind. You have to collect your leftovers. And so Jesus says, I want you to collect your leftovers. 12 disciples, 12 baskets, 20 pounds each basket. And they fill all 12 baskets to their full. 240 pounds worth of leftovers. Are y'all listening to what I said? They started off with 5 flat cake barley loaves and 2 pickled fish. And at the end of the story, we got 240 pounds of leftovers, not fish, but of leftover bread. And each disciple has a basket of about 20 pounds of leftover bread. And they're getting ready to get into a boat and ride into a storm. And about halfway into the sea, they're going to get stuck in the storm, and they'll stay in the storm all night. But if they were mindful in the middle of the storm, they'd look at what they had on the boat. Because we got 12 baskets, 20 pounds apiece, full of leftovers that says, if you just let God do what he's doing, he knows how to take care of you even when the situation is overwhelming. Now, I need to talk to somebody in this room that needs to take inventory of the leftovers in your life, of how many times God has shown up for you. I need you to take inventory of how many times God has made ways for you. I need you to take inventory of how many times God has brought you out and brought you through. And I need you to look at what you're going through right now. And I need you to remind yourself that if God brought you through that, I can't get nobody to help me. I said, if God carried you through that, if God supplied your needs when you were going through that, God is the same God. He does not change. He's the same yesterday, and he's the same today, and he'll be the same tomorrow. And if he can fix it yesterday, he can fix it today. I need somebody to start counting your blessings, naming them one by one. Count your blessings and see what the Lord has done. God has already been so good to you that you shouldn't be worried about anything, because you know that he'll show up when you call him, that he'll pay every one of them bills, that he'll give you peace in the midnight hour, that he'll give you joy that the world can't take away if you just... That's enough. Y'all come to Bible study.